Good morning, everyone. This is Prakash here. I hope I'm audible to all of you. It's been a pleasure to have Nicola from LinkedIn here. He heads APAC Enterprise Relationship and Sales Solution, and he'll probably be sharing some of the success stories on how to be successful in sales, leveraging Sales Manager, Sales Navigator. But before we start the sessions, a quick rundown on some of the housekeeping stuff for the session. We have ensured that there is no disturbance across, and we wanted to keep every one of you on mute, so you will be on mute. If you have any question, you can find Vinita there. You can choose her chat window session and start sending your questions there. Nicola would be able to take some of your questions after the session. And I hope all of you have dialed in through your computer audio and you're able to listen into the session there. So without much ado, I just wanted to hand it over to Nicola here. But before we start the session, I just want to ask Nicola this question. We are all crazy about SSI scores, right? And in this organization, every week receives a dashboard on SSI score. What is the maximum SSI score you've got?
Well, it went down a lot, but I had once 99.
99, guys. So you know this is going to come from somebody who has touched 99. So you know what that means. Fair enough. So without much ado, Nicholas, over to you.
Sure.
The slides are here. We'll be happy to probably run
Thank you.
down there.
And I use it in a very different way now. I use it in a very different way now. So my SSI went down significantly, but there was a time where I was simply every day on it, every single day, several times a day. So thank you, first of all, thank you guys. I had a pleasure to discuss with Prakash when I was in Singapore, and I had the pleasure as well to meet with Harsh, your CMO, that was there to receive an award. And so great pleasure to be here. I know Sean is fond of your business and enjoy dealing with you guys. So very happy to be here, and very happy to talk about that product because it saved my career personally. And if I may share a very personal story, but I was sharing with Raghu that I lived 16 years in Canada, and before coming to Singapore 5 years ago, I was working for a small, medium business company, 300 people, relatively small, very niche. We're streaming radio, traditional radio online, and with an advertising platform. It was very, very specific. And I'm a pretty loyal employee. I usually stay loyal according to today's standards, 7 to 8 years per company, you know. And I was getting my 4th year, was doing well. But my next challenge, I convinced my CEO to send me to Asia and start the business for them in Asia. And that was a dream project, and I was super excited. But it was also extremely risky. My wife had to say goodbye to her job. We had a very young baby, moving to Singapore, and get there with the adventure and the motivation and the will to succeed, and arriving in Asia, and then realizing that I had no contact at all. Zero, like start from scratch, and building a business with absolutely no contact. It's a nightmare. It's extremely difficult, and but yet I wanted to succeed. So start to work really hard and go through events and meet people, and slowly getting a bit of revenue here and there. But technically, month after month, I was a debt for the company. I was a cost, and I was starting to feel that heat after 8 months, 9 months. A year and a half. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to me? You know, I took all that risk where, you know, my wife has no job and she couldn't find anything in Singapore. It's pretty difficult. And this is where I realized that I understood the power of social media. As I started to know a couple of people, started to use more of the platform to find the people that I need to engage with. And I started to get success. And after a few more months, managed to close some bigger deals, and after 3 years, actually created a company generating $1 million per year of revenue, recurring, which is not amazing, but it's pretty cool considering I was by myself with no specific cost, because all the cost was actually supported by the US. So it was good. And then when I realized that at LinkedIn they were opening an office and they were starting selling the Sales Navigator platform as a corporate platform, I just applied. I just applied because this platform, without it, I wouldn't be here today. As simple as that. So happy to share some of the things and how I used it, and the passion that I have about it. Because if it's leveraged properly, it can add value to every single one of us. It's not easy. It's like anything else. If it was easy, you know what? We wouldn't need salespeople. We would have people taking orders, very junior people taking orders of machines, right? So, but it's a great tool to leverage. Sorry, I took all about me, but
That's nice. That's nice.
Cool. Is it? Okay, it goes like this. All right, so but first of all, guys, about the SSI. So I don't know if everybody in the room or on the phone is aware of the SSI of the company. You guys are sharing a lot of information around it. Which is just to say that you guys are considered a very healthy Sales Navigator user with an average SSI of 74. It's pretty high. And you guys, prior to using Sales Navigator, you were already obviously good users of LinkedIn because your SSI was quite good already, but went up 25%. It is very good. The piece that surprised me a little bit is your branding number. It could be a bit higher when you think about it, because that's the easiest piece. It's a little bit tactical, but it's important to do because, you don't want to miss the chance when you try to reach out to somebody and that person look back at your profile. You don't want to miss the chance to look good. Why do you want to, that very tactical thing, which is having a good profile, a good picture, a good title, expressing your professionalism, and this is expression of who you are and the value you add to your customers. And not that you're a quota crusher and you're here to make a big number. It's not a resume, it's your e-reputation. It's quite easy to do, and what if that person look at your profile like, and then disregard you? You missed that chance. Too bad, right? So I would say, guys, it's an easy way for you guys to increase that SSI. The rest is pretty good. Searching the people, 17 is pretty good. That shows that you guys are using more the search engine. Try to use the filters to find the exact specific people you want to engage with. This is very key. So quick question. Do you guys know what SSI is? And how we build it? So just a little history there. We build that SSI, Social Selling Index, by observing how top sales reps are using LinkedIn for business. So we basically took 5,000 people, reps, we took the best ones, and look at what they do. And they do those first things very well. The top sales reps, they have an impeccable profile because they don't want to miss that opportunity to look good in front of a potential customer. They search a lot more than others. You know what? They're a lot more proactive. They're hungry to find that person they need to engage with. They're hungry to find the entire buying committee that they need to engage with. They're not only just counting on that relationship that is there, and that's enough, counting on that relationship to open all the doors for you. The top sales rep, whether they're hunters or farmers, they use the search engine a lot more than others in average. The third piece is they're more visible. That's the insights. So they share more content. They kind of understood like there's a way to be more visible on the platform compared to the competition. So they get that piece well.
Hey, hello. Nice to meet you. I just had an induction for the new joinees. So
no worries.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry. Wait, I'll give you my hand.
Thank you. And the last piece is what we realized that those people, those top sales reps, they have a better network, so a higher number of connection with directors and VPs. Okay, so that's how we created that social selling index by looking at what top sales reps are doing and how you use LinkedIn to do sales, and we created that index that then we can measure individuals and companies to see what they feel.
So how old is Sales Navigator? Social selling index as a concept?
2 years and a half. Yeah, 2 years and a half, 3 okay. Max. We're using another metrics before, like the usage metrics. Then we refine it And even that algorithm changes like year after year, we change it a little bit, make it, refine it a bit more. So first it was about searching people, now we integrate searching people, but using filters, which shows that you're even more specific. You're really looking for a specific person. You're not just looking at the profile of people you know.
I mean like the lead builder and stuff like that. Using lead builder also impacts SSI?
Yes. The lead builder and specifically the filters also. So not only typing the company and the country, the filters and stuff. So all this activity is captured. And so here I just want to say something about SSI. So in a company, and actually I can go in the next slide very quickly. Here, what we found out is even on LinkedIn, if you look at the reps, in average, the people with a higher SSI, because even on LinkedIn, everybody doesn't have a huge SSI necessarily. Some are larger than others. But even on LinkedIn, we realize that the ones with a high SSI, they create 45% more pipeline. They're 51 more likely to close their quota. So those are SSI above 70. And they're 3 times more likely to go to club. So to go club is the top 10 performers, we send them to a trip. And they get promoted faster, 1.6 times faster. And how do we know that? Because when people change profile and they change title, we know it, right? So we're able to compare statistically SSI and promotions. So of course, this is across a large number of people. You can't necessarily always take the top SSIers and say this is the top performer at the individual level, right? Because at the end of the day, this is observing the behavior we want those people to have. But there's other things to make them successful. Are they able to close? Right? Do they understand well the products? Are they able to understand the business and fit the products within the business? Right? So there's other aspect to make them top performers, but at least it tells you they're having the right behavior to sell them out, and that's very key.
How would you know if they close the deal or not?
That's LinkedIn. So there's no deal that exists without Salesforce. So every deal, there's no commission paid if it's not through Salesforce. So we know exactly who closed what deal and what is this to sell that person.
But how would you know they've closed the deal? I mean they post it and you'll grab that post and understand they closed it. Oh, you're talking about LinkedIn, your team.
Us.
So,
Yeah. This one is a global number. This one is a LinkedIn number. This one is across the platform. It's not related to social media. Cool. All right. So for those, I don't know if you guys are aware, but in terms of how you rank compared to the competition, you guys are just the best. So I hope you guys realize that you can be very proud of working for Ramco. There's a list of the competitors there. I can't tell you whose number is what for privacy reasons. The same reason I would never say to other companies what Ramco's score is, but you're at the top of the list.
can you give us some choice?
I'm sorry, we don't do that. But you know what? And it doesn't matter. You just whoever it is, you're at least 4 points ahead. So that's pretty good. And the last piece is, hey, you've been recognized as the top social selling company in APAC, chosen by LinkedIn. So I hope you guys are proud to work for Ramco and being in a company that is some thought leadership, because it's not everybody. And you know what? It's not easy to get that award because there's a long list of companies. And then we choose Ramco. So congratulations to everybody in the team. I see you're doing a great job. Well done.
Thank you, Nicola. Just curious, how many companies are there?
There was a long list.
Okay.
There was a long list. I withdraw from the debate. I let the marketing people talk about it. And the insights girl, the main girl here is Lynette, is our insights queen. She's the one who accesses the data, and she's the one who picked up the company. But they were Tom.
You're really happy.
And the big company was there. The SAP was there. The IBM was there. Some were close to that number, but overall, like you sustained that number a lot more regularly than any other, where there was more peaks in other companies.
Could you also give us where we stand from an expenditure standpoint? I know we ranked number 1. So this is cost standpoint, how much we spend versus the rest.
The licenses will be much larger in a company like an SAP or an IBM.
Number of people.
The sales team
Would that be
footprint.
No, I'm talking about your campaign spend.
No, I think the question is, say at Ramco, if there are 30 odd people who have got a sales navigator account, that is also would that be an equal number in terms of IBM
No,
or
it'll be different.
the number?
Denominators will change. There's always
So the
a
number.
The number of what? I'm sorry, I don't
No,
understand.
that's not the question I asked. The question I asked was
It's an average.
this cost that
Aggregation of that.
what we spend on LinkedIn versus the rest of them in that list. Where do we rank from a spending
On the
standpoint?
spending,
Including, I'm talking about sponsored campaigns, everyone, he runs that.
He may not have idea on the marketing side or the talent solution side.
Oh, okay, this is only a.
This is the sales solution side.
And I think we will take some questions against those.
Yeah, I think
the others on the webinar.
but on the cost side, yeah, it varies a lot. If you take, I don't know, EY, where we spent 30 million just on the SaaS solution, you know, there's
Depends on the organization size and the sales team size. I mean, that's how it is.
we have companies with 10,000 to 30 million, so it varies a lot. EY is interesting though because they were not a customer and they went all in, so which is surprising. Normally they go through a kind of a pilot with 200 or 500 people. They went directly to 30,000, and the reason being is it was only for farmers. Because those people are not necessarily hunters, right? They're already in the companies they do business with. But here was all about leveraging relationship in the entire company, make sure we don't miss anybody of who knows who. To stay at the top of the business that they're doing, as well as grab any piece of revenue that could come in the company that we do business with. And in addition to that, they created a BU, a business unit, to sell to large companies how to use social media to do business. So they're actually even creating it goes deep, a practice that they're selling. Yeah. But those are monsters.
I know.
By the way, the SSI average is not as high as 74. Just so you know, it's lower. At 30,000 people, you can imagine.
We are a startup here.
All right. So I just wanted to share a couple of stories of how I use it myself in the past. Just I started at LinkedIn in 2014, and I was a huge user of this, and I got quick success, and then moving to management role rather quickly. And again, so this platform saved my career twice. Once before getting a LinkedIn, because I was about to get fired from what I was doing in Asia, and it helped me get success, and then at LinkedIn itself, where I had the privilege to sell what I was using, which is great, right? So very quickly, I give you an example of one of the companies that we needed to do business with. And I'm giving you a typical example of here I was acting as a hunter myself. And so British Telecom is a company that was considered critical to do business with. They were actually a client in the UK. You know, and as a typical company, like you hope that your counterpart will do an introduction or ask the people there to introduce you people here, you know, that long cycle. But it's possible, but very long. But I had to do business with that company. So where do I start? Lead builder. Go there, BT, country, Singapore, and I start my groundswell, right? I don't go to the top directly and talk to the CEO, like, no. Let's understand the business. Who could buy that? What would be a good use case? So I go after who? What is the first level of people that could buy my product? Sales directors. Cool. I do a little research, and here in seconds, I got the list of these people. So for me, I realized that, wow, what is the other way for me to access that information? If I had to use Google, it would take me weeks, maybe a month. And it would be impossible to get everybody, right? If I use my CRM, impossible, the data will never be updated enough to get that data. So here in second, I get the list of those directors, and I meet them one by one, right? And some don't answer. Okay, some didn't answer, but some did. First one I tried is a guy called Alex Leroux. He looks like a guy that would have an accent like mine, right? I start there, you know, I'll start with something very personal. I look at his profile, and oh yeah, speaks French, definitely worked for Renault. I'm like, can I be more French than that? I'm like, okay, I got a guy here. I think I can have a meeting, have a conversation. I use I was lucky at that time. He put his email address in his profile. I wrote to him directly, sent him a little email, and used what was in his profile. Say, hey, I see you went to school in Rouen. I'm sure I could be writing this email in English, but I don't feel comfortable because I stopped working in French for a long time ago. So I'm writing in English, and he answered me, sure, short email there. I'm all right, sure, let's have a chat. Okay, cool. I have a meeting with him. I discuss with him. He explained to me how he uses it, how his team could be using it. Then I meet other directors. So I met like 5 or 6 directors. So I start to have a good grasp of what the company is doing, who could buy in this, right? Then I realized that he has no budget, or if he has one, it's going to be too small, and I need to reach out to somebody else. I said, so who could afford that? It's like, you can try marketing. Reach out to the marketing person, does not answer. Okay. Now I need to go higher, right? So I'm like, okay, this is not moving. I do another search.
What were you trying to set up? Sales Navigator?
Sales Navigator. Then I do a search. I'm like, okay, I need to go higher. I look for, in this case, in this time, you can see my filters that I use here. CXOs, VPs, sales business development marketing at BT, a couple of BT companies. And I found this guy, Ron Totten. Then I realized he just moved to Singapore. He was from Hong Kong. His name is Ron Totten. I'm like, okay, cool. Nice, that's the guy I need to talk to. How do we engage with them? So some of the things that people forget to do is looking at who is he connected to. Not necessarily in my network, but in my company, I sort of look like a Team Link. So I don't know if you guys use a lot Team Link, but I go on Team Link and I realize this girl called Emily Manor is connected to him. She's a colleague. I never met her. She's in Hong Kong. Send her a quick note. Hey, how well do you know Ron? If you do, I would love to have a meeting with him. Can you make an introduction? And she answers right away. Yeah, I know really well Ron is my husband. And I couldn't guess that, right? Because he's Canadian, she's American, so they don't have the same last name. I couldn't know that, right? So I insist a bit, and I get my meeting. It was only 5 minutes, but you know what? He said, talk to Rachel, the marketing girl that I was trying to reach out to. So he pushed me down to her, and she had to respond to me. So then after that, I engaged with her, Rachel, managed to have some conversation, and just to make a story short, I closed the deal. The reason I share that story is, without this, oh, by the way, I started in January, started to prospect in April, and it closed in June. Without this helped me find all my potential buyers, all my groundswell, my influences, my budget, and the decision maker. Without this, I have no idea how I would have done it. And I could have done it, but maybe 6 months, 8 months, or a year after, if I'm lucky that I went through enough events, or I don't know what other formats of possibility to meet these people, cycling clubs, I don't know. So here in a couple of months, we're able to do it. So that was one of them. The other story that I have is maybe a little bit more for typical farmers. So people that are already into an account, they're already dealing with some of the people in this company. So I will share. So this is not mine. It's my colleague Andrew. He was in Australia. At that time, Panasonic was a customer of ours on the LinkedIn on the marketing side. So obviously the guy a lot more excited by something new in marketing rather than the SaaS solution that was a bit aside of what they do usually, campaign and stuff, right? So we pitched to him, and we received an email that in sales we hate receiving. It says thanks but no thanks. That was interesting, but maybe next time, right? All right. So the question is, people on the phone is, what do you do when you receive that email? Close, lost, opportunity lost. You move on. You go to something else. What happened is, a few months after, he received an email from LinkedIn from a save search result. So I don't know if you guys do that, but that's one of the tips that I strongly recommend to do. Is not only save leads and save accounts, but actually save a search. So think of the search that you do the most and save them and keep it, because every time there's a change in that list, you'll be informed by LinkedIn. So here, this guy did a search of what are the decision makers and Panasonic when he was trying to get in. And then a few months later, received an email saying, hey, there's a new head of the country. Okay, cool. Who's this guy? Look at the profile. It's like, hey, Jason, cool. Jason looks like a good profile. So from there, by the way, for some of the people, sometimes they ask me, some of the customers, like, is it possible to not only have my target leads, but also if they're active on LinkedIn? And I can't do that. But looking at the profile, I can tell you that's my guy. You know, has a good title, 500 connections, a good summary. I'm like, okay, he's minimally active on LinkedIn, this guy. So definitely a good insight there. And he sees that he's connected to Daniel McConville. She sits in front of him, just like here, in front of him. And like, Daniel, do you know Jason? It's like, yeah, Jason Coleman is my champion at Canon. It's like, no, it's not at Canon, it's at Panasonic. So here you have two critical information out of that insight. Go back to Canon. You lost your champion. You better find out who that is. Renewal is in 3 months, right? And the second one is, we have a champion at Panasonic when that opportunity was supposed to be dead, right? Can you arrange a meeting? Of course, get the meeting. It was fairly easy because he was a champion for us. He liked our business already at Canon. He should like it at Panasonic, right?
But you mean champion like an evangelist?
Champion, yeah, like he was a client for us at Canon. And got the meeting, and to make a story short, we got a deal there. The reason why I share that story is, without this, it would have never been a deal when that happened in 2015. It could have been a deal maybe the year after when, you change the reps, you change the list of accounts, because people have that weird habit to personify companies. They personify a company based on a conversation they have with a guy. Oh, they're not ready because they talk to a guy that is not ready, but not the company, the guy, right? So usually, it's good to change those accounts. I think it's healthy to have new people, fresh eyes, and look at things differently. So maybe it could have been a year after, but not in the year that helped this guy make his number and actually overperform and being able to choose to go in the US, and now he moved to the US because they overperformed. So I'm just saying those are just examples. This is not something exceptional. Those are things that happen a lot. It's just that we documented these. But it shows that it actually, used properly, it accelerates every conversation, every sales cycle, and every potential deal as well. Cool. Couple more examples here on how it's being used by. So that's one of my guys. Thibaut is one of our top performers. So he's a typical account manager as well. So I'm giving an example here of how it's being used by farmers, because I think the use case is very, very obvious for hunters, a little less obvious for farmers. But here an example is we're doing business with DHL, and we're dealing with the right people, right? So usually, not that we're lazy, but we tend to, stop here. We're having a relationship to the right people. But renewal is coming, and we want to grow that business. So he's not waiting. He used this to reach out to the people at the top. So we're dealing with the VP of sales. He went to the MD. He went to everybody and build his branch well and say, hey, you know what? You don't have to. It's only 15 minutes. I'd like to update you on one of the things that we're doing with your business. Usually they say yes, and that helps them build a relationship with everybody. So that's a use case. That use case is very similar to Panasonic. Is we love following the people that change company. So those that were clients of ours, as soon as they change company, and we're the first one to know it because we receive an email. We don't wait the market to tell us that this guy changed or moved. Very critical. So maybe to give you a little bit of insights of how is this working for us as a business at LinkedIn, we have about, we do research using our, it's not research, but just looking at the data in our CRM, that 1/3, I'm sorry, it's very, it's in white, but it's 1/3 of more or less 25% is warm introduction, marketing leads, and emails, about 20 to 25% each. The rest is email here, 25%. That's warm introduction. I don't remember, but around 27, and marketing leads. And what we observe is that through warm introduction, the average size deal is 20%, 23% higher in average.
Right. Okay.
Which makes sense, because usually you get a warm introduction, conversation is better, but it's done through people that we trust. Cool. So personal tips for the people that are using this. Yes.
So what's a warm introduction? You get introduced to somebody else?
Yes. So warm introduction is, yeah, it's exactly what I did with Emily, with my guy at BT. When I see that there's an MD, I'm like, I want to be mindful. I'll reach out to this guy. I want to look too cold, too aggressive. Getting warm introduction through his wife. It could have been his secretary, it could have been somebody they we worked with in the past, doesn't matter. But the reality is, she worked at LinkedIn. She asked you to help me. Minimally,
Yeah.
right? So that's a little bit. So the power of that is, instead of just using my little relationship, just like the story I mentioned before, you're right, actually, that I came to Asia where I knew nobody, and tried to use just my network, my personal network, and I can leverage the network of the people in my company, scaling the capacity to get warm introductions. So a couple of tips, if it helps, these works for me. So very important that you guys save your accounts and your leads. Don't miss out on doing that. Even if you know well somebody, just do it, because you know where that person is going to be in a couple of months. And save the searches, and try to strategize about it. So I said even my guys in my team don't do it well enough, but depending on how you organize, and if you go after a specific industry or a specific group of people, try to make a search where if I get a result, it's not going to be 20,000 people. 20,000 leads is not helping me, but where it's refined enough where the number is workable. And when I get new leads, it's a couple, right? So for example, I had a safe search for the top 3 banks in Singapore, the top 3 telcos in Singapore and Hong Kong, right? And safe search for VP, director, and C-level in business development, marketing, and sales. And then when I was receiving that insight that you saw, the guy at Panasonic, it's just a couple, right? So it's workable. It's not giving me thousands of people. What can I do with thousands of people? Even 100, I'm like, I'm not going to work on 100 guys. Right? So that's what I mean by strategizing about it, about those accounts. When prospecting, identify everybody you need. Oh yeah, so one of the things that I'm surprised, but even my guys, I have to tell them that, but I don't know if you guys have name accounts? Do you use name, specific name accounts? Okay, cool. So with my name accounts, what I was doing is trying to reach out to everybody, and it's like I was taking 3 accounts. Every day I was taking a couple of accounts. And I was looking for everybody that I need to engage with. All these guys. Identify them, then I prioritize them by the profile, what it looks like. That gives me a little insight that they're going to answer or not, because they're a bit more active than others. And if there's a warm introduction. And oh, by the way, I need to share something else before I go back. In the save the stop searches, now what you can do, at my time it was not possible, but now what you can do is, normally you can do the save searches, but you also can click the team link, so it updates you only on the people that are changing jobs that are connected to somebody in your company. So like the super hot leads that right there, right? So depending if it's just one tip, one tip there, very useful. But I come back to that idea of prospecting with an entire account. So I was getting all the people, then put some of the top, some of the bottom, and then what I was doing is being mindful of the message I'm sending these people, and I try to teach them something, either about them or about their business or about their industry, something that is new, something that they might not know. Maybe something that I know, but if it's interesting, they might answer, but to capture their attention, and then draft a little something. I was never doing a pure copy-paste of something hyper-generic, never. Think about you getting that email, what do? You delete. because it's not addressed to you, right? So it was the same. So, but then I was crafting something that was specific to the business, and then I was doing copy paste of that specific email, and then changing the names and the data. We could be, we went to school together, or whatever it was, and then I was just sending that in batch. So I was taking time to send something that is customized, that is interesting for them, and then reaching out to all these guys and do that one account, two accounts, and then I'm at peace. I try to reach out to everybody, and then I was putting a system to follow up on those. And I was getting my meetings, account per account.
Is there a follow-up tool or something that tells you, hey, it's been 7 days since you wrote to him. It's time that you want to connect with him?
So I was personally using Outlook. In Outlook, in a send email, you can put yourself a reminder in 2 days to follow up on the guy. If the guy didn't answer to me, in 3 days I was doing my follow-up. All of them, no exception. Okay, always teach something. Okay, that's the point number 3. Always teach something in your emails is what I mentioned earlier, right? It's like pure generic emails.
Personalized.
You have to be very lucky that the guy really needs your product and it's the right time. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I need a server. Yes. It's otherwise they won't answer. Oh yeah, when you have a bad beat, we all have that in sales. Like a poker player, bad beat. It's not working. It's not working. Ask yourself, are you doing the right thing? And I went through it myself. So because you need to go through a detox period a little bit with that platform. And so I was starting to get success. BT deal and some of the big names was coming in, and everybody was like, wow, the new guy is hot. And then you start getting a bit lazier. You try to cut corners. You start getting colder. Those emails, they're more copy pastes. They're not so thoughtful, you know. And then I'm like, okay, hold on. Am I doing the right thing? Let's go back to basic. Like in sports, you know, some of those guys, top performers, sometimes you just need to get back to the very basic. And that was the same thing. Then I realized, okay, what did I do here? That's an ugly copy paste of an email. No way this guy is going to respond. And then I realized that I was not trying to get warm intro because it takes more time. Yes, it takes more time to ask for warm intro. Yes. But when you get your meeting, it goes so much faster, right? And I was trying to cut corners because I thought, I got it. So that's my little advice to you guys or people on the phone. If you feel you're in that bad beat, just get back to what you know works and invest the time to do the right thing. Prospect every day, but never miss Fridays. So I don't know if it applies for India specifically, but for the rest of the world, Friday, the response rate is so much higher. People are more relaxed, they're getting to the weekend, they're more inclined to read your email and answer to it on a Friday. So me, what I was doing is preparing all my emails to be sent, so I prepare them. And then before going to work at 8:20, to make sure I'm not too early, so if I send that overnight, maybe they have some more urgent email that comes in and then they forget about you. But at least I'd be the first one in their inbox when they get in the office at 8:30. So I'll send them at 8:20, prepare them before, and never miss a Friday. And usually I had a better response rate. Just little tips. I mean, it's almost tactical at this point, but farmers do not rely on relationship only. Yeah, and that's a big classic where when we are in a company, yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah, it's gonna work. What if this guy changed company? What if he doesn't make that introduction to the IT people that you want to, or to the CMO like you want to? You know, it's like, don't rely on the relationship only to help you get into a company. Use the tool to go up to the people yourself. So that's some of the tips. I think I wrote another one here that I thought of this morning. I was coming here. It was about the team link. And one of my guys just told me something. I thought it was pretty cool. So there was one of my guys sent me an email and say, I see that your second degree connection to that CMO. And I overread his email. I thought he said, can you ask to your entire network who can make an introduction? And I was about to send him an email. I was like, are you nuts? do you want me to spam my entire network just so you can maybe do an intro to you? What kind of thing you smoke? Like, I thought it was illegal in Singapore. I was mad, honestly. I was like, I can't believe he's asking me that. And then I read again. It's like, hold on, it's Carlos, smart guy. I know why you're gonna ask me that. And then I read again, and his email was pretty good. It said, your second degree connection to somebody else. So look who in your network could make an introduction. So basically, it's to see in my second degree connection, is there somebody that I trust enough that can ask for an intro? And I was like, I never saw it. I never saw it that way. But it's true. If I see that he's connected to one of my best friends, yeah, I could do that. I could ask that. So that was a little tip that I never heard before. I thought I could share with you guys if it helps. And another little tip. So that's Mac is in my team as well. She created that little kind of template of how to write emails using a three paragraph approach, if you will. And one piece is about social, the other piece is about a little pitch about your business, and the last one is about a call to action. So she always start her emails by, hey, I noticed this about you went to school like me there, or something social. Then she goes really quickly into why am I reaching out to you? This can add value to your business because of this, that's that. And the third one is just a call to action. Let's meet up, let's do this, let's do that. And she feels she got a better response rate by having that approach. There's always a piece that is social, always a piece that is direct and honest and open about the business and the business relationship. It's not about a fake partnership. Because I have something to sell you that can add value to you, and that's what it is, and how to meet up. So that's a little PDF. I can send it to you guys, and I thought it was pretty well done.
Nicholas, one more. Can you please hear us well?
Yeah. We have checked it out. And the team there is there. We're also recording the session, so I can send it across.
Cool. So I hope you guys are. So look, I don't know if all I shared is super obvious to you guys. Maybe it is, maybe it is not. Hopefully, there's a couple of hints there for you guys. I hope also that you're convinced this adds value and like generate a lot of business. 2 years ago, 2 years and a half ago, when I started, I was a little more shy on. I knew it had value for us in Asia because it did to me as an individual. But we're more shy because we're not necessarily a lot of case studies in Asia. Now we have tons. And all these are case studies specifically in Asia. SAP made a specific study here where they increased the increase of 40% the pipeline. They average size is about 300K, and they found $4 million directly generated by Salesforce, by LinkedIn. That was SAP. PayPal reduced the sales cycle by 25%. EMC, I don't remember what was the conclusion, but here, and the one that is in our own India country, HCL, case study should be launched on Monday, where out of the 400 people that he gave a license to, generated influence of $100 million of business. Either directly sourced or influenced, because when you think about it, every single one of those deals could be influenced by LinkedIn, by finding the right person, by accelerating just a little bit that discussion that should have happened, or could have happened in a different way without it. So
I think this is how we should look at marketing generated leads.
Yeah, any leads in the pipeline. So when you say influence, this could be meeting that could have been set up because of Sales Navigator, it could have been more connects that you've got.
What is you are well advanced in the opportunity for a mega deal, but you know what? You haven't engaged with finance.
Okay.
So the opportunity was not generated by LinkedIn, but you know what? Without that contact in the finance, you managed to have a discussion, you wouldn't have that deal. Yes, it's influenced by LinkedIn. And without Sales Navigator, we would not be in. So that's, and a lot of companies look at it that way. Amex was the same, where they try to be very thoughtful of sourced by LinkedIn and influenced by LinkedIn. Because that piece of acceleration, that's the reason why EY got 30,000 licenses. They're not hunting. They don't need to hunt. It's all about accelerating and scaling. And every 15 minutes that you want there, or a week, to create that list of my directors in BT in Singapore, just creating that list without taking me weeks without it, all that time, it adds a value. So So I wanted to share that, and that's just here, guys, so we can be proud of that. It's India. And it's not out. I mean, there's people talking about it as some videos. It's just the document itself, I think on Monday will be out. Cool. So guys, and then Prakash asked me the question of how we look at it from a leadership standpoint and how executives are using LinkedIn as well. We did build a document that's pretty well done. If you guys want to have a look at it, I did send it to Prakash on an executive playbook, basically. And it's well done, well documented, well written, not too pushy, not too exaggerated, it's done by marketing. And that's basically the agenda of it. So I thought I could go through really quickly, but as a leader in a business, it allows you to, so there's 4 pieces. In the first one, take part and take control. That's about having a good executive profile. Setting your privacy settings as well. I do not recommend to try to be transparent, like anonymous. I think it doesn't add value to anybody. People feel they're stalking people when they look at our profile. They're not. They're doing business and they show interest to engage with you. What's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong about it. Or you're not part of what you do, or you're not part of your company. If not, right? So I don't think being anonymous is a good thing, but a little bit of privacy can work as well. Some of the content that you don't want to share with the rest of the world, why not? So there's a little bit here of privacy you can work on. And connect with only people that matters. It's true for anybody, for us as individual contributors or first level manager, but it's true for execs. It's even more true for executives because everybody tries to connect with them. Why connect with somebody that doesn't have a relationship with you? There's no interest. So that's some of the advice that I provided. Demonstrate your leadership so that your company is innovative. So by being very present also on LinkedIn, your employees are looking at it and it set the bar, set the standard. It's not only your competitors, not only your peers or your customers, but also your employees as well. It attracts talent as well. That's also a big push there. It offers a possibility to have an authentic and human face of your company. Makes it a bit more who you are, right? So that's a big advantage. And be a voice of your industry and build thought leadership, which I think you guys are doing quite naturally. Accelerate sales, another piece that correlates a lot more to Sales Navigator. So the advice is to connect to your top customers, and we tend to forget to do it as some execs in the company because our relationship are very good with some of the people on the client side, but they're client today or maybe not tomorrow. So, and when we connect with those people, it sends the message to the people that are in the team that you have a relationship there. If you don't connect, that they don't know you. Maybe that CMO they want to reach out to that you're connected to, you can maybe make that introduction. If you're not connected to them, that guy in your team will not know. Right? So that piece is very important, that you're sending the message, you're expressing in the company who you know. So very important. Empower your team to leverage your network at your discretion. So that's the idea. That's exactly the idea. Once you're connected, at least the rest of the team, they know who you know. And then at your discretion, if they ask you for an intro, you can yes or no. You know, it's too touchy. We just had a barbecue, it's a bit cold, you know what, so try to use something else, why not? Or, you know what, I know him really well, he owes me something. Yes, I'll make that introduction, why not? And be where your customers are to find your leads. So what I mean by that is, all the benefits that your reps have, there's no reason why, as executive, or I'm not executive, but you guys leading the company, you should be able to do that. You should be able to save some leads, follow some people, and know your top accounts as much as the sales rep as well. And if you're not using Sales Navigator, you won't be able to do that. You'll be able to be informed only of the people you're connected to. So you wouldn't get those insights. So it's as important for the sales rep as it is for the leadership. And again, distinctive industry insights. So send and talk leading ideas in the industry, hire the best. That's more on the HR side, but it attracts talent. It does attract talent. They're like, hey, you see that name of that company a bit more often, and it makes you feel to work with that person, not only the company, but that specific person that seems to be human or whatever quality that you want to share on the marketplace. And that's it. And with that said, Navigator also this on the free version, you don't access to everybody, and you hit a paywall. So if you do too many searches, you'll hit a paywall saying, "You're using this for work. You're not a student anymore." That's the fee to pay for it. So I hope it gives you an idea why it's important to have a leadership team on the platform as well.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you very much for sharing some of those refreshing insights. So I'm not sure what happened here. Anyway, so dear team, I hope you had a refreshing session with Nicola, and really thanks to you. It was very nice way presented in terms of storytelling and experience sharing. I'm sure all of us are inspired to go back and look at our own sales navigator. I mean, one big takeaway that I have is never miss a warm intro. I think that's very clearly coming out, be it your team link connections, be it your first degree connections. That's the key to create a conversation.
25% of our revenue.
Absolutely.
25% of LinkedIn, warm intro.
Warm intros, right? Absolutely. I'm just going to quickly go to the chat window and check if any of the questions have come, and probably I'll facilitate that.
Sorry, I talked a lot.
Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to share it
more conversation
in the chat window.
It's been a one way so far.
I don't see much questions here. I think you've made it very, very clear in terms of sharing your experience on what we need to do, why we need to do that. I have a quick question here from my side in terms of if you want to really measure the success rate of using Sales Navigator, if I'm into sales, would I look at meetings or calls as an outcome metric? How do I measure myself? How many meetings that I was able to set it up?
It's a good one, the meeting, because since this is kind of killing the cold calling.
Correct.
What is the other metric that we can actually use that is effective? And me with my team, I look at the meetings. Okay. Because we don't use number of, how many calls you did today? That's a question we never ask at LinkedIn ever. At least in the SaaS solution, like ever. But yeah, the number of meetings. So this is to help you engage and have more conversation. So how many more conversations you had, right? I think that's one of the key. If you're not feeling that you're overwhelmed a little bit and that you have too many meetings per day, then you might not overperform. You might just, at least in my team, in the way that we set the quota, they need to feel a little bit overwhelmed. So I tell them, I was like, guys, if you don't feel a bit comfortable, it's too easy. You're just going to make your number. You'll not overperform.
And in terms of just pure discipline of using Navigator, is there a minimum number of hours a day that you need to probably spend? Or from your experience, I mean, if you're regular in Sales Navigator, how much time do you think you should be spending?
Question we have a lot, and I don't think it varies so much from an industry to another.
Okay.
And from a role to another, seniority, that we can't really make an answer to it. That is objective. But if you're in hunting mode and you're not using this every single day, where else do you find the people? Where else do you find the people you need to engage with? Like, it's going to be hard to convince me that there's many other ways that are more effective. So it has to be every day.
A couple of questions on actually reaching out to people from a lead generation perspective.
Good questions.
So you save an account as a lead, and you look at what's making news in that account, and all of a sudden LinkedIn throws up saying that it's awfully quiet here. So obviously the next logical thing is to go look at their press releases if something is close to March or April, and then connect accordingly on that using Google. Say that there's something interesting that's happening in the company, and that update for me to relate to the person that I'm connecting to is at about 40,000 feet. Do you think I should still mention that as an icebreaker to reach out to him, or do I need to do research outside of Sales Navigator?
I think it's always better to be as relevant as possible to them. Yeah. Let me just appreciate the fact that Yeah, you've learned about them compared to many other idiots that try to reach out coldly and say, "Hey, I have a solution for you to be successful." It's like, yeah, why you? So anything that can help you, we're always trying to find that golden nugget. Sometimes we don't have that golden nugget. So whatever it is that is just a little bit different, a bit more thoughtful, just to show that you know the industry. So I mean, when I was dealing with like I hit hard on the telcos, right? So BT, then I had Orange and Vodafone, all of them. So and some were really not engaged. Orange was not engaged on LinkedIn, like very slow. People were there. And at the end of the day, you don't need to have people that are engaged. You need them to be there. You need to be able to find them. If they're active, good. If they're not, then try to find a warm introduction of people to introduce you. Because at the end of the day, what was important is to identify who they are and what they do, right? The fact that they're active is a bonus. So, but let's get back to the example of Orange, where that's a company where they were not active on LinkedIn. They were there. I was using my knowledge of the industry and saying, hey, like a lot of telcos, I'm sure that you need to move from selling IT product to solution that requires to engage with more business people compared to before. And there was a very low chance that I was wrong because it's a global trend. I was showing that I know your industry and let me show you how I can help you with that. I got my meetings. So that's what I meant by something thoughtful that adds value, that is customized because it's relevant to the industry. Without being that super high golden nuggets of we're lucky the engine of LinkedIn capture an article that this person wrote in the magazine and you can carry the ego because you can talk about the article that they wrote and they're so happy that you know about it, you know? You don't all have that. And anything else would work as well, potentially. Mm-hmm. It's 100% better than guys trying to call or shooting horrible email. Mm-hmm. Elevating the sales professionals, being smarter in the way we reach out to them, being smoother.
And do you think it makes sense, or do you think it's a good, it should be a practice to reach out to them on email, and then in parallel write to them to their actual inbox and say,
I like this guy. I do.
You do?
I do. Okay. I do. And that's a question of my guys. Because we call that social selling. We take a lot of pride in saying that we want to elevate this as professionals and it starts with us. So we sometimes forgot that we need to be a little bit more aggressive in life to get shit done. Sorry for the term. And sometimes a bit too thoughtful. Some guys say, but I sent him an email. I don't want to be too pushy. I'm like, maybe he didn't read it. Who do you know? Yeah. And maybe he needs that. He'll appreciate you come back to him, you know? So some of the things I was doing yes, I was doing it in parallel. And you know what? To accelerate things, I was even asking for an intro. And if the intro doesn't work, I was trying on the other door as well. And one works, the other, okay, fine. I mean, it doesn't matter. But it's important not to spam people. Absolutely. Like I'm not saying let's spam people. I'm just saying that there's different doors that can be open and be thoughtful in the way we get it.
And the email wouldn't be written the same way as the email. Yeah. Just something like that.
Anything just contextual and relevant.
If you ask me like pure social selling 101, I'm supposed to answer no. I'm talking about the guy that used it and that was on the ground. I was doing it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And do you think it's it'll be over the top if we send an email directly to somebody whom you're not connected to?
Totally possible. It's made for that. That's the reason why you have 30 emails per month and not more, because we don't want it to be spam. But it's a totally a privilege that is provided. Yes.
Or should you connect with someone and once he accepts, wait till he accepts your connect and then send him an email? Doesn't matter.
Yes or no? That doesn't. I wouldn't say so. Accepting a connection is not a direct. It could be an insight that there's an interest of talking. Maybe, maybe not. But why wait for that?
Okay. Is there a way where, because I'm sure Prakash myself, two of the big guys over there, Cynthia and Priya, also customize our I'd like to add it to a professional network. We feel that that is a place where we can definitely customize it.
I like to.
When you connect with someone, it's the generic message, right? I'd like to add you to my professional LinkedIn network.
Yeah.
We don't always customize that. And some good stuff, research stuff go into that. It could be something about, it looks like you and I like skating and I read your blog, it's interesting.
It works.
Is there a way where we can access that? Because once we send it, it's not visible to us.
You mean because you use a lot the mobile?
No, even on the connect message, not the in-mail or the message.
No, you can
Send
change it.
In send it'll have.
Send it,
Yeah.
not the connect messages.
Yeah, connect.
I think it's there. Yeah.
I think you can't on the mobile phone. That is just
Send it with the same.
Send it will be there. What is it? If you've customized it and send an invite to connect, and we
Is it?
yeah.
So there are two things. One is invite, one is inbox.
inbox.
So when you say invite,
Is that-
there's two send boxes.
But there's maybe an area where you have, and I think I know what you mean. Is this areas when you have a list and you have a plus. You click plus, it sends an email for you. It makes a connect request for you.
Correct.
I think this is where this area is where. But if you go to profile and you say connect, it will open a window for you to customize. I was a bit lazy on that one because I was like, okay, what can I customize here? I was just putting the name like, hey Johnny, I'd like to connect with you. Or if I was dealing with them, I was name dropping. Name dropping works really well as well. I had a chat with Alex Leroux. I'd like to connect with you. And then you get a yes. Like, oh, biting a little bit.
Close the session. Okay, thank you, Nicola.
Thank
for
you.
joining us. Thank you for taking time to share some of the stories and experiences you have to share.
You're very welcome.
Really honored. I'm sure all of us here in the room and people who have joined us would look at Sales Navigator from a fresh perspective. And thank you for giving us
Thank
this
you. I hope it
perspective
was
as well.
not too obvious for you guys. I know you're
No.
advanced users.
I think some of them were really refreshing insights on how you went about hunting the account or farming the account, and that really helps us to relook at how we are doing things on our own on a day-to-day basis. Thank you everybody on the session here. Thank you for being patient listeners, and if you have any questions after the session, feel free to send it to me or Benita. We'll probably have a offline chat with Nicholas. And this session is also recorded. We'll also be sharing the recording after the session. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining the session. You guys have a nice day. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks.
How many people were online? 17.
Yeah.